The moment my stepmother threw my mother's wedding dress into the fire pit at my dad's birthday party, I realized she had finally revealed her true self. But when my 8-year-old daughter Hazel picked up her pink backpack and asked if she should show everyone the videos of what VEDA does while dad is at work, the whole backyard went silent. Even the flames seemed to pause. I should start by saying I'm not someone who looks for drama. My name is Melinda. I'm 36, and I teach 3rd grade at Riverside Elementary here in Ohio. My days revolve around lesson plans, parent-teacher meetings, and raising my daughter Hazel as a single mom after my ex-husband decided he wasn't ready for family life when she was just 2. Most evenings you'll find me grading papers at the kitchen table while Hazel practices multiplication or reads her favorite Junie B. Jones books. My father, Robert, is the kind of man who's worn the same style of glasses for 30 years and still does the Sunday crossword with a number 2 pencil. He runs a small accounting firm downtown, the same one he started with my mom's encouragement back when I was in middle school. He's predictable in the best way, or at least he was until VEDA entered our lives. My mother, Diane, passed away 3 years ago. Cancer took her slowly, and then suddenly, the way it often does. She spent her last months in the house where she'd raised me, tending her garden until she couldn't anymore, leaving notes in recipe boxes for me to find, and recording videos for Hazel's future birthdays. She was grace personified, even at the end. Dad held her hand when she passed, and I saw something in him break that day. Something I wasn't sure would ever heal. Then came VEDA. She appeared at our church one Sunday, sitting 3 pews behind us, holding a hymnal she never actually opened. She was 42, though she claimed 38, with salon-dyed auburn hair and clothes that suggested money she later revealed she didn't have. After service, she approached Dad at the coffee table, commenting on his sermon discussion points and laughing at his accounting jokes. Jokes? My mom used to just smile politely at. Your father deserves happiness, my Aunt Phyllis said when Dad first started bringing VEDA around. Phyllis is my mother's sister, 5 years younger but decades wiser. She's the kind of woman who can spot a fake handbag or a fake person from across the room. My uncle Jerome, Dad's brother, was more direct. A retired police officer who now runs a security consulting firm. He muttered at their engagement party, "Something's off about her. She asks too many questions about the wrong things." Your mom cared about people's kids, their health, their dreams. VEDA asks about vacation homes and investments. But Dad was smitten. For the first time since Mom's death, he hummed while making breakfast. He bought new suits. He started wearing cologne again, the same woodsy scent Mom had bought him every Christmas. When he looked at VEDA, his eyes lit up like someone had turned the lights back on. Hazel, my daughter, has my mother's eyes, and a wisdom that startles me. She's 8, but observes like she's 80, filing away details other kids would miss. She loved her grandmother fiercely in the short time they had, and Mom's death hit her hard. She was cautious but hopeful about VEDA at first. She smells like the perfume counter at Macy's, Hazel whispered after meeting her. Too many kinds mixed together. The wedding happened fast. Too fast. 6 months after that first church meeting, VEDA walked down a white carpeted aisle in our backyard, past Mom's rose bushes and tomato plants, wearing a dress that cost more than Dad usually spent in 3 months. She insisted on the backyard, calling it quaint and intimate, though I suspected she just didn't want to pay for a venue. Now 3 months into their marriage, standing in this same backyard with 50 guests watching Mom's wedding dress burn in the fire pit, with my daughter about to expose the truth about our new stepmother, I realized every red flag we'd ignored was about to unfold in vivid color. Dad stood frozen by the drink table, his face ashen. VEDA still smiled. Her practiced smile, not yet realizing her own cruelty had triggered her downfall. The party meant to celebrate Dad's 58th birthday was about to become something else entirely. 3 years after losing my mother, I thought Dad deserved happiness again. When he introduced us to VEDA at a family dinner, she seemed perfect, charming, attentive, bringing Hazel little gifts and asking about my teaching job at Riverside Elementary. Dad's eyes lit up around her in a way I hadn't seen since Mom got sick. That first dinner was on a Thursday in March. I remember because Hazel had just won her class spelling bee. We were celebrating at Dad's house with his famous spaghetti carbonara, the one dish he'd mastered during Mom's chemo treatments. VEDA arrived carrying an expensive bottle of wine and a children's book about brave princesses for Hazel. "Your father tells me you're the best third-grade teacher in the district," VEDA said, settling into Mom's chair at the dining table. Like she'd been there for years. It must be rewarding, shaping young minds. The conversation flowed easily. She asked thoughtful questions about teaching standards, listened to Hazel's spelling bee story, and even helped clear the dishes. When she laughed at Dad's terrible impastable pun, I saw him relax in a way he hadn't in years. "She makes me feel alive again, Melinda," Dad told me one evening after Sunday dinner. "I know no one can replace your mother, but VEDA understands that. She respects Diane's memory." I wanted to believe him. The loneliness in his eyes had been unbearable. He'd been eating cereal for dinner, leaving the TV on all night for company, keeping Mom's coffee mug where she'd left it. The courtship moved quickly. Within 2 months, VEDA had a drawer at Dad's house. Within 4, she was picking frames for his reading glasses and scheduling his appointments. She brought order to the chaos grief left behind, organizing bills, restocking his fridge, even getting him to join a library book club. "Your mother would approve," Aunt Phyllis admitted, reluctantly after watching VEDA manage Dad's medication with nurse-like efficiency. "She's taking care of him." The proposal happened at the church spring picnic. Dad got down on one knee by the dessert table, his voice shaking as he asked VEDA to marry him. She cried just enough to look moved but not enough to ruin her makeup. The congregation applauded. Hazel threw flower petals from her paper plate. The wedding was 6 months after they met. VEDA took charge of everything with simple and elegant as her theme. Though her simple included hiring a string quartet and importing orchids, Hazel was the flower girl, scattering petals down the aisle of our backyard, where Mom had planted her garden. The ceremony was beautiful. VEDA had strung lights through Mom's apple tree and set up rows of chairs across the lawn. Dad had started mowing again. "Welcome to the family," I'd said, hugging her after the vows. She'd held me a moment too long and whispered, "I'm going to take such good care of him. You'll see." At first, the changes in the house were subtle. Mom's ceramic birds moved to the basement for safekeeping. Her crocheted doilies disappeared, replaced by glass coasters. The warm yellow walls repainted stark white. "Just freshening up," VEDA would say. "Your father deserves a space that doesn't feel like a museum." Dad seemed happy, so I stayed quiet. He was showering regularly again, wearing ironed shirts, laughing at sitcoms. When VEDA suggested ballroom dancing lessons, he agreed. Watching them practice in the kitchen where Mom used to dance alone, I felt a mix of grief and gratitude. After all, I had my own home with Hazel, just 15 minutes away. If Dad could find happiness again, who was I to object? Love looks different the second time. I told myself, more practical, less poetic. I should have noticed the way VEDA's smile never reached her eyes. Everything changed the week before Dad's 58th birthday party. I stopped by to drop off decorations and found VEDA in the master bedroom, pulling Mom's clothes from the closet. Mom's dresses lay across the bed like colorful ghosts, her blue cardigan crumpled in a donation box. Her church shoes lined up like soldiers being discharged. VEDA moved with mechanical efficiency, treating 30 years of memories like expired coupons. "Oh, Melinda, perfect timing," she said. "I'm donating these. Your father needs to move forward, don't you think?" My chest tightened at the sight of Mom's Christmas sweater, tossed into a garbage bag, the one that still smelled of her perfume. White shoulders. Dad said he wanted to keep her things. I managed. VEDA's laugh was like ice. "Men don't know what they need. Holding on to the past is unhealthy. I'm helping him heal." She picked up Mom's pearl necklace, examined it, and dropped it into her own jewelry box instead of the donation pile. "That's not your decision to make," I said, reaching for Mom's clothes. She blocked me, manicured hand pressing my shoulder. Actually, as his wife it is. This is my home now. This was my mother's home for 30 years. You've been here 6 months. And in those 6 months, I've done more for your father than you managed in 3 years, she whispered. He was drowning, Melinda. I'm saving him. The argument escalated. I grabbed Mom's wedding dress from the closet. VEDA tried to wrestle it from me, her nails leaving marks on my wrist. You're being childish, she hissed. It's just a dress. It's her wedding dress, I said as Dad walked in. His face shifted from surprise to resignation. Melinda, please, Dad said, taking her side. VEDA's just trying to help. Maybe it's time to let some things go. Dad, she's throwing away everything. Not everything, sweetheart. Just some old clothes. VEDA needs space too. This is her home now. The betrayal felt physical. I left with Mom's wedding dress. The only thing I could save. VEDA's look as I carried it out was pure venom. At the doorway she called sweetly. Sunday dinner is still at 5. Dear, I'm making my famous pot roast. Mom's pot roast recipe, I thought. Over the next few days, VEDA launched her campaign. She called Dad at work, loud enough for his secretary to hear, saying she was concerned about Melinda's hostility. She told Aunt Phyllis I'd been aggressive and unstable. She suggested to Dad's friends that I was jealous, too attached, or in need of help. It's natural, she said with fake sympathy. She never properly grieved her mother. Classic manipulation, but Dad believed every word. When I tried to explain, he sounded tired. Your mom would want us all to be happy, he said. VEDA's trying so hard. Can't you meet her halfway? Halfway would mean respecting Mom's memory. She does, he insisted. She kept all the photos, didn't she? She maintains the garden. He was right about the photos, but wrong about the garden. I'd seen the estimate on his desk. VEDA planned to tear out Mom's roses and install a rock garden. By Thursday, 3 days before the party, I was officially uninvited from helping. Too much tension, VEDA told everyone. We want Robert's birthday to be peaceful. But Hazel was still invited for her Friday night sleepover. They couldn't exclude an 8-year-old without looking heartless. The morning after the sleepover, Hazel was unusually quiet. She climbed into the car in the same unicorn t-shirt, dragging her overnight bag like it weighed 100 pounds. Her usual chatter about pancakes or cartoons was gone. She stared out the window, twisting her fingers. Mommy, does Grandpa know VEDA has friends over when he's at work? My hands froze on the steering wheel. I forced myself to sound casual, even as alarm bells rang in my head. What kind of friends, sweetheart? Men friends. They drink wine in the afternoon and laugh really loud. VEDA told me it's our secret game, but I don't like secrets that feel icky. I pulled into a grocery store parking lot, turned off the engine, and faced my daughter. Her eyes were troubled in a way that made every maternal instinct scream. Tell me everything, baby. You're not in trouble. Hazel took a deep breath. Yesterday, when Grandpa went to work after lunch, VEDA told me to nap in the guest room. I couldn't sleep. A car pulled up and a man came over. They sat very close on the couch and drank from Grandma's special glasses, the ones with gold rims. My mind raced. I'd noticed VEDA always had new jewelry and designer bags. My dad couldn't afford on his accounting salary. She said they were gifts from a successful sister in California, who never visited, never called, and might not even exist. Has this happened before? I asked. Hazel nodded. Lots of times, when she stays over. Different men. One brought a shiny bracelet and kissed VEDA on the mouth. When Hazel watched, VEDA told her it was their special secret game, and good girls keep secrets. My anger swelled, but I kept my voice steady. Hazel, have you ever seen these friends? She nodded, then reached into her backpack. I thought she might hand me a drawing or a note. She pulled out her tablet. She'd taken videos during the time she was supposed to be napping. VEDA doesn't know I know how to use the camera, Hazel said. I opened the tablet. My brave, clever daughter had figured out the camera app and recorded everything. The first video was shaky, but clear. VEDA in Mom's living room, in a silk robe at 2 in the afternoon, pouring wine for a man in a suit. Gary, You spoil me, Veda's recorded voice purred as she accepted a jewelry box. The next clip showed a different man, one younger, touching Veda's face while she sat in Dad's leather recliner. Paul's at his boring office until 6, she laughed. We have hours. Paul, she called my father Paul. His name was Robert. More clips followed, Veda showing a man, Dad's home office, laughing about her boring old husband, and his predictable routine. Veda trying on expensive clothes while a man watched from Mom's antique settee. Veda counting cash on the kitchen table where we once ate Sunday dinners. Baby, why didn't you tell me sooner? I asked, my voice breaking. Hazel's eyes filled with tears. Veda told me if I told anyone, Grandpa would be sad and it would be my fault. But yesterday she'd been mean to you about Grandma's things, and I don't want her to be mean anymore, Hazel said. And she called Grandma's pictures ugly when she thought I was sleeping. Nobody calls Grandma ugly. I hugged Hazel tight, feeling her small body shake. You did the right thing, I told her. You're the bravest girl I know. We'll handle this, but I need you to be brave today at Grandpa's party. Are we going to show Grandpa? She asked. We're going to show everyone. Veda needs to be stopped. I drove straight to Aunt Phyllis's. She took one look at my face and ushered us inside. Uncle Jerome was there for their Saturday coffee. I showed them the videos. Their faces moved from skepticism to shock to anger. That manipulative witch, Phyllis breathed. Jerome was already on his phone. My buddy Tom handles divorces. He'll want copies of everything. He looked at Hazel with pride. You've got your grandma's smarts, kiddo. She would be so proud. We made a plan. Jerome would transfer the videos to a USB and connect it to the outdoor TV Dad had for football. On the patio, Phyllis would make sure the right people were within viewing distance. I would wear Mom's wedding dress to the party, knowing it would provoke Veda into revealing herself publicly. She'll go nuclear when she sees the dress, Phyllis warned. I'm counting on it. When she attacks me, Hazel will know it's time to speak up about the videos. I took Mom's wedding dress from my closet, feeling like she was guiding me. Today at Dad's party, the truth would come out. The party was in full swing. 50 guests mingled in the backyard, the same yard where Dad and Veda had been married. I'd purposely worn Mom's ivory gown, shortened and taken in to fit me. Veda's eyes narrowed when she saw it. Conversation stopped as I walked through the garden gate. Mrs. Patterson from Dad's office gasped. Dad stood by the grill, his spatula frozen. Veda stalked across the lawn in designer heels, each step puncturing the grass. She wore red, a tight, expensive dress. Her painted-on smile didn't reach her eyes. Interesting choice for a birthday party, she said loud enough for others to hear. Wearing your dead mother's dress? That's a bit morbid, don't you think, Robert? Dad shifted, embarrassed. Melinda, maybe it's inappropriate, he said. Veda raised her voice for the crowd. This is supposed to be a celebration of Robert's life now, not a shrine to the past. You need help, Melinda. This obsession with your mother isn't healthy. I've told Robert you need professional intervention. The only intervention needed here is the truth, I replied calmly. Her face twisted. In one swift motion, she grabbed the dress. The sound of tearing silk cut through the party like a scream. She yanked harder, ripping the sleeve off. Then she marched to the fire pit, where Jerome had been grilling, and threw the dress into the flames. Time to make room for the new wife, she declared triumphantly. The ivory silk caught immediately, orange then black. 30 years of memories consumed in seconds. The crowd fell silent. Then, to my horror, a few of her friends began to clap. Her yoga instructor, her hairdresser, 2 women from book club, applauding as if this were performance art. Dad stood there, gray-faced and mute. That's when Hazel ran forward with her pink backpack. Daddy, she said, her voice slicing through the tension. Should I show everyone what Veda does when you're at work? The word daddy stopped everyone. Hazel usually called him Grandpa now. In her nervousness, she'd reverted to what she used to say when she was small and Grandma was alive. Dad went white. What are you talking about, sweetheart? He asked. Veda lunged for the backpack. She's just a child with an imagination, she hissed, But Hazel had already handed the tablet to Uncle Jerome, who was ready. In seconds he connected it to the outdoor TV. The 60-inch screen flickered to life. Suddenly there was VEDA on the screen, wine glass in hand, sitting on a stranger's lap in Dad's living room. Her recorded voice rang out, "My husband's at his boring office." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Someone dropped a plate. The next clip showed her accepting a bracelet from a man 20 years younger. "You're so much more exciting than Robert," she purred on screen. "He's sweet, but God's so dull. Still talks about his dead wife like she was some kind of saint." Dad made a sound like he'd been punched. Phyllis steadied him. More clips played, VEDA giving a tour of Dad's office to a stranger, mocking his system. VEDA counting a stack of bills at Mom's kitchen table. VEDA in Mom's bed with someone who wasn't Dad. The wedding photo on the nightstand turned face down. "You burned my sister's dress," Aunt Phyllis said, stepping forward, voice shaking. "The dress she wore when she married Robert. You destroyed it like it was garbage while carrying on with men in her bed." "Those videos are fake," VEDA shrieked, but even her friends backed away. Her yoga instructor headed for the gate. Dad finally spoke, broken but firm. "Get out. Get out of my house." "Your house?" VEDA laughed bitterly. "I'm your wife. I have rights. Half of everything is mine." "Not anymore," Uncle Jerome said, holding up his phone. "Robert's attorney, my buddy Tom, already had copies. These videos would make sure she didn't get a penny. Adultery? Fraud. We're just getting started." VEDA tried one last manipulation. "Robert, please, I love you. These are misunderstandings." Dad looked at the still burning remains of Mom's dress. Then at Hazel, then at me with my torn sleeve. "Leave now or I call the police," he said quietly. VEDA's car screeched out of the driveway. Dad pulled me and Hazel into his arms, sobbing apologies. Guests dispersed. The party was abandoned. We sat beside the dying fire, watching the last embers of Mom's dress glow in the dark. "I'm so sorry, Melinda. Your mother's dress, everything. I should have listened," he said. Tears came for both of us. Not just for the dress, but for the trust broken and the memories VEDA tried to steal. Dad's shoulders shook as he held us, repeating apologies I didn't need to hear. The man who'd always been my rock was crumbling, and somehow that made me stronger. "The dress was just fabric," I told him. "Mom's real legacy is in the values she taught us. Honesty, loyalty, family. VEDA can burn a dress, but she can't touch that." Aunt Phyllis had salvaged a small piece of unburned lace from the hem. She held it up in the fading light. The delicate remnant matched the lace used in Diane's wedding veil. Her mother's before that. Maybe someday Hazel could carry on the tradition. Dad looked at Hazel, curled against him with the tablet tucked away like a weapon she'd never need again. "You were so brave, sweetheart. But you should never have had to keep such a big secret," he said. "Mom says secrets that feel icky are usually bad secrets." Hazel said simply, "Grandma Diane wouldn't want you to be with someone who lies." The next morning Dad changed the locks. VEDA sent her brother to collect her things, but Jerome supervised every box to make sure nothing of Mom's vanished. We found 3 pieces of Mom's jewelry in VEDA's drawer, 2 of Dad's watches, and shockingly, Mom's recipe box hidden in a suitcase. She'd been planning to take everything that mattered, piece by piece, until there was nothing left of our family's history. 3 months later, the divorce was final. VEDA fought for alimony, but the evidence was overwhelming. The forensic accountant Jerome recommended discovered she'd opened credit cards in Dad's name, moved money from his business account, and sold items from the house online. The men in the videos came forward when subpoenaed. Each told similar stories of VEDA's promises, her lies, and requests for money. Dad went to therapy to understand how he'd been manipulated, how grief had made him vulnerable to someone who love-bombed him with attention while secretly despising our family's past. Dr. Morrison, his therapist, explained that predators look for grief. They see it as opportunity. He redecorated the house again, not to erase Mom, but to blend past and present. Her photos returned to the mantle alongside new ones of all of us. The garden she planted flourished under his care. He even took a master gardener class to better tend her roses, spending Saturday mornings pruning and feeding them while telling them about his week the way Mom used to. I needed to learn that moving forward doesn't mean forgetting, he told me one afternoon, as we weeded. Diane is my past, yes, but she's also part of my present through you and Hazel. Anyone who couldn't accept that was never right for this family. The community rallied. Rotary Club members brought dinners for weeks. Mrs. Patterson set him up with a grief support group for widowers and warned him about manipulation tactics that target vulnerable people. Even the church ladies, who initially liked VEDA, admitted they'd noticed things but hadn't wanted to interfere. Hazel learned that standing up for the truth, even when adults tell you not to, is sometimes the bravest thing you can do. She began seeing the school counselor to process what happened and to understand that adults who ask children to keep icky secrets are always wrong. She's stronger now, more confident, quicker to speak up in class and to stand up to playground bullies. I learned that a mother's love transcends death, living on in the courage of a granddaughter she never met, but somehow helped protect our family anyway. I learned that Dad's happiness matters, but not at the cost of our family's truth. Sometimes things need to burn away to show what's real underneath. The wedding dress was gone, but its sacrifice revealed the truth. What's real? Family? Love? Loyalty? No fire can destroy that. Mom would have gladly sacrificed 1,000 dresses to protect Dad from that woman. In the end, the dress did what she no longer could. It saved him. If you found value in this story of standing up for family and truth, please like and share this video. Your support means everything, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that remind us, love and justice, find a way. Thank you for listening.